Howdy doody. G'day everyone, how are we? Um, Lovely. Yeah, everybody hear me all right? I hope so. Hope everybody is fine on this nice rainy day. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, finally. Hey, Jerry, just be careful, mate. You cost me a lot of money this week. How you going? I'll say hello to everybody here. Who I've got? I've got Melvin, Jerry, Nissy, Anthony. Oh yeah, new look. Um, Gary, Creepy, how are you? Ron, who else do I have in here? Um, Dave, how are you? From the Crooked River. And normal gang by the looks of it. Now, I'm going to be, yeah, part of my face is missing. Yeah, I end up having a bit of a argument with the nurse at the hospital, and this is what happened. Yeah, she's done a job on me, eh? Yeah, that's what you get for getting too cheeky. I'm going to send an invite if any of you guys want to come up and have a bit of a chit chat. I'm going to have to compete with a bit of a noise in the background here today because we've got an air show going on, and of course I'm on the edge of the holding pattern for the aircraft to go into the local airport. No, I didn't feel like going down there. Recovering from surgery and all that. The surgery worked out pretty well, I think. Yeah, I seen you watching the that program, Jerry, Mighty Trains. Union Pacific is actually a nice run. I'm going to take that along, go for a run on that one day. When they start the operation again, it's a good run. Then you got the other one, which is again that goes from Adelaide to Darwin. I did do a lot of work on the section between Alice Springs and Darwin itself, where I done the transport of spikes and railroad ties up there, but more the spikes. When I located, I do have one of the spikes that fell off the back of my truck accidentally into my overnight bag. When I dig it up, I'll show you what the spikes they used on some of that track. It was actually quite genius idea what they used on it, because the spikes were up like this, and when the rail goes on top, and with pressure, the spike will actually lock the rail into place. They used that in a couple of sections on the GAN line. But it's nice scenery going across there. Where the Union Pacific goes, it's going through the middle half of the actual Nullarbor Plains. And the road where you'll see on one of my clips, it goes on the southern fringe of it. Yeah, it fell in my bag, yeah. Yeah, quite a heavy thing. It actually more jumped into my bag. Yeah, the spike's about, yay big. That wide, about that tall. When I find it, I will bring it up. I do want to get a crane and put it on a wooden piece as a momentum, as a part of that rail project. My stepfather, he actually worked on the straight run of the Nullarbor, doing the track laying and whatnot in its day. The swelling's coming down, Jerry. Still getting a bit of tingling on these two here, but that's all because the swelling's coming down in the palm here. I still have tingling in the tips of these two fingers here, but we'll find out a bit more next week. I hope it's no permanent damage. Thumb's a bit tender still, but I'm very concerned about these two fingers here. I'm just hoping there's no permanent damage. Yes, Gary, they did give me good medication at the hospital on Sunday. Well, not Sunday, on Wednesday. The doctor gave me one lot of meds, and to ease the pain and whatnot, I got home and started watching the news, and I can't even remember what the last thing was that I saw on TV, and I woke up about 2 o'clock in the morning with this show called Love Island actually on TV. So it was like, nah, turn it off, go to bed. Yeah, it's been last few nights I haven't been able to sleep properly. There's too much going on in the head and whatnot. So anyway, the layout's pretty much completed for the time being. I want to make a big shout out and thank you to Creepy013 Gary. I went up to his place on Tuesday to get a few items that he was selling and getting rid of. What we'll see in the background, got those 2 big towers from him there. They're going to go for my city scene, which is going to be up the next level. Then I've also got this building here and the construction site. Got that from Creepy as well. That's going to go up to the next level up here as well. There's also, it's not here, it's in the back room. Just bear with me, I'll go and get it. Oh, and also got this pretty good one here, the tower crane, which is going to go up on the construction site. Bought that off him. Pretty heavy. And I don't know if any of you's seen his layout, but he had a whole heap of these race subway platforms, or what do you want to call them, which I'm going to use on my city scene. I've got a bit of an idea how I'm going to do it now. I got these from Gary. Thank you very much, Gary. Really appreciate it. They are going to be used very, very wisely. Yeah, it's a big tower crane, Ron, and it's going on the layout. I'm going to try it, knowing the way I like to do things, how things work. I'm going to see if I can actually, when your hands get better, I'm going to see if I can motorise it and turn it into a remote control crane, so it's actually doing something while it's on the layout. So yeah, what else is there? The layout is It is a bit dark. I'm gonna relocate the camera when I can. The layout there is pretty much in place now. Yeah, you see a bit of the blue paint there. That frame that you see, the black frame, you ain't going to see that there. My next level is going to be bolted onto there with angles and whatnot, and it's going to have basically the plywood backing on it. But yeah, that's it. That's how the section is going to look now until most probably until I come back from the US in May. Because I'm going to see what happens when I'm in the US at May. See how long it's going to take me to get things re-established again, because I had with my stepsister passing away, and my stepsisters have passed away and whatnot. I've got to reevaluate and the situation over there before I can move over. So this is how it's going to look for now until I get back from the US. But mind you, I don't know if you guys noticed, I can't sit still for too long. I've got to do something, so I'll probably end up starting the next level beforehand. But that bottom scene is going to stay there until the main section gets done. Those buildings do almost look at home there, but where that construction site is actually just where the railway crossing is, somewhere around there, it's eventually going to curve over to the main section. And that bit there is actually going to go to another part of the main layout. So it's going to be recycled. It's not going to live there forever. That's the plan of attack. I've been working on planning out the layout for my city scene, and because I want to try to get at least 4 to 6 passenger trains and some freight trains in a small space, like we have. I'll just move my camera there. As you see there on my existing area, that's how wide the next level up the top is going to be. So what I want to try to do is put the passenger trains, because they're the longest trains, put a passenger train station up on that end, and then have about 3-4 lines over here. But with the station side, I want to try to get at least 4 to 6 stations, 4 to 6 platforms there, passenger trains. So what I was looking at doing is I was measuring the height. I'm going to get some more of these. And I measure the height on these, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it sort of like an open-based subway system, where I'm going to have like the American trains and Superliner trains up on the top level, and suburban single deck cars will actually fit underneath here, and I have the station platforms on the side. So that's going to give me basically 2 passenger trains on top, 2 on the bottom. And I might end up having towards the side here, I might have another 2 there. So that gives me 6 passenger trains in a small space. Then I can have a gap where I can actually have a passenger train service centre where they do the service the passenger cars and the passenger engines. Of course, I'm going to have electric trains coming, running a mile out. So I want to have a storage facility for that and the service area. And then also include like a marshing area or staging area, an open staging area for the freight trains. It'd be almost like a pretend or imaginary holding yard for the train that would come from somewhere else. That's the plan. I will try to draw it up and see how it works and how the grades work and whatnot. So the most expensive part I do know is going to be doing the switching into the entry point. Now, with my measurements of my trains, my longest passenger train, I do have the Indian Pacific as well. I've got the IP. I believe that's going to be my longest. That's approximately 8 feet long with 2 engines on the front. So that section here, this section here is going to be 13 feet. So I've still got plenty of room to play with the radius and switches down the far end. It's going to loop around, come up to a city scene, which is going to be behind my back. And then it's going to spiral down into the level to here. But there's also going to be a hidden section underneath the layout where you're going to have a return loop, staging area. You're going to hold the trains there until it's time for it to come back up. And you can either go to the station or I'll have a continuous run on the main section. There's going to be a lot of work on it, but in my head and in the theory, it's going to work. So stay tuned on that one. Yeah, but I probably will start on next level here before I do go to the US. So I can work out what I do need and what I don't need. And while I'm over in the US, I can shop around and buy the kits that I need and whatever else. So while I'm waiting to recover, as I can afford it, I'll be buying bits and pieces so I have it on stock and have it on hand. So when I start constructing, it's all ready to go. Like I had with this one here, I had most of the components for this, except for the buildings. I had all the track pretty much. Yeah, I did have to get a few little bits of odds and ends, but I pretty much had everything here. Now, what else is there? There won't be. My next stage here, once my hand recovers, is finish the roundhouse and reset the turntable. I'm not happy with the way that turntable is sitting at the moment. I do want to isolate the tracks there so I can actually, with these sander codes and whatnot and trains, when they're not operating, I just want to switch them off. In some cases, these sound decoders, they do take a lot of amps, reduce the ampage. I just want to have control on it with what's running and what's not. So once that's completed, I'll start on the next level up. Yeah. Have I been working on anything else lately? No. As you guys seen on from the updates, I've sent in the last couple updates on what the layout's looking like. I have made some videos now where I can actually been having some fun, so I'm going to have a series of what do you call it, fun running on the layout. Now I have purchased some new trains, thanks to Jerry and some of his viewers. They gave us that link to that site where we had those Broadway Limited trains for with 80% discount. Well, the way things are looking, the first lot will be here next few days. Actually expecting it to land in Sydney today or tomorrow. I say it'll be landing either today or tomorrow. They'll be landing in Sydney, so I should have it in by about Wednesday. And they're not coming from the US, strange enough. I was half expecting them to come from the US. They're not. They're coming out of China. So, hello, Joe Rado. How are we? So, it's interesting to find out. I'll share with you guys what they are and what they're like. I don't know whether they're cancelled orders or what they are, I don't know. It seems a bit fishy, but I've got the tracking number's already been emailed to me, whatnot. I haven't paid any shipping for it at all. I managed to get a couple of steam engines and some GD ones. If they do turn up with no issues, I will buy some more from them, because there's still some there left. There are still some items I would like to get. And if it's coming from China and they're thrown on the plane, I'm going to get some more for the price of what they're going for. If there's anything wrong with the decoders, well, it's easy with the decoder. Just chuck it out and I'll throw a tsunami one in. So it's one way of boosting up my fleet and getting the stuff that I would require for a cheap cost. I mean, we all know how expensive some of the trains are these days. So, yeah, that's what's new on the front here. Yeah, one thing I did do, and I had to do, was track cleaning. And Gary and I, we were talking about it when I was at his place. But also looked at some of the videos that fish plate models, or fish plate in South Australia that does all the Australian or American stuff in Australia. And he's an electrician by trade. And I've been having issues in trying to keep my track clean, and especially now with pretty much finished construction. I want the track to be clean, and with me doing things single-handedly, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. So between him and Chadwick, what I'd done was I got out to JCar and got myself some inox, because that's what Greg was actually recommending. Now, this is a pump action one, which is good. And what I did was I cleaned up a couple of the engines with this, or one engine in particular, and started running it around my track. Now, with you, Anthony, using this is not going to be recommended. There's another alternative for that, because what this inox does, it actually helps it, because your stuff will have traction tyres on it. So apparently this makes the traction tyres swell. So this might be good for you. You'd be better off using, you get it from the Fleischmann, which is something similar. Which is this here. Now you can get those pads that you put on underneath the knock. From knock, you got those little pads, even Woodland Scenic's got them. And you clip them underneath say, one of your passenger cars. And put a dab of this on the pad, and as the carriage is going around, or the carriages going around, it's cleaning up the track. I have used this in the past. But my biggest problem is I've been in that habit of using the track rubber. This one hasn't been too bad. This one's a Fleischmann one. This one it wasn't so much. This wasn't as bad as the Pico ones. I'm not using these anymore. Well, I will use this one for the initial clean, but with my track cleaners, you've seen the video. I'll get one out. I'm just going to get the right one out. Let's do the vacuum one. With these here, what they have is they got a little reservoir here. Let me get it out. No, it doesn't. But see, this here, you take the top lock. Whoop. The lid came off. There's your vacuum spot there. That's how much dust it's actually vacuumed up after you use the big vacuum cleaner on it. But you see the reservoir here. See the reservoir there? I'll put the inox in there on the other carriage. And then underneath, let me show you how good this vacuum cleaner is. So it picks up the little lint and dust underneath. So it's pretty effective. And my big vacuum cleaner didn't even take that. I'm getting all that, Anthony. But yeah, she's falling apart. But underneath there, okay, there's the vacuum there. And what you do is you got the two sponges. That one there is where it comes out the fluid reservoir. Now this one here just pretty much wipes it up as he goes along. Okay. So what I've done with the other one, I removed the fan from underneath it. I removed the fan from underneath, and you get these little pads, and they're like the little polishing discs, very fine. The oil actually use this to buff down the track. I seen Daplo have got them up for sale, but they're roughly about between $50 to $60 US. They're worth the money. They come as DC, but you need to get a DCC chip, which is in this end here. It's easy to unscrew. You've got 4 screws underneath where you undo the screws. Top comes off, and you can put your DCC car in it. You just need a small one, basic one. I've used that at the club. If you got tunnels and whatnot on your layout where you don't get your vacuum cleaner, you want to pass this through about half a dozen times. But what you do is after your first pass, because the hole underneath here is so small, it'll clog up. It'll clog up in here. So you've got to clean that hole out and pass it through the tunnel again. I did it at the club in Sydney where the tunnels never got vacuumed, and yeah, I had to pass it through half a dozen times. But now, since I've cleaned the track up with inox, I had a couple of steam engines that were real troublesome. Well, could never keep the wheels clean and whatnot and give it electrical contact. But because this is for electrical contacts, cleaning electrical contacts and that, and it's not water-based, this actually improved it. And as the train's been going on, this actually cleaned the wheels. what I need to do now is find some, get some knock pads. I do have some here somewhere. I've got to find them, and I will put them on a couple of my carriages, probably in my the ones that use cabooses and brake vans and whatnot. I used to put them on the back of them, and as it goes along, as the train goes along the layout, the track's getting cleaned up and getting wiped up as it goes along. It takes all that black film off. So in your case, like Anthony, like with your trains, like you have, what, 4, 5 trains running at once, particularly in the shows. If you've got those pads on all your trains, as the train's going around your layout while your show is, your track's getting cleaned up all at the same time. And you can use this product from Fleischmann. It's a similar type of oil, but you can also use that for gearing, but you can use this for track cleaning with the traction rubbers. Okay, and it'll save you a lot of time, and you don't have to go around and buff down the track all the time. So, just an idea I would share and experiences that I had. I mean, those pads are like what? In a pack, you get, I think you get 4 or 5 in a pack. They're around about $8, $9 a pack, and it's worth having, especially if you're running a trains a fair bit. And they just said, when I find it, I'll show it to you. I'll share it with you. It just clips up underneath your wheels. Yeah. So I see nobody wants to have a talk. Come on and have a chit chat. So yeah, now what I'm going to do is I've got to work out is I want to get my signals to work automatically. And what I will, you got the rail conditioner. Hello, James. How are you? That's that rail conditioner that you've got on the side of your layout where you're actually. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah. What I'm going to get that on. Oh, don't want to lose that. That's the plug in my track cleaner. They're a bugger of things to find. Look, Anthony, you're welcome to join in if you want, mate. There's no problem. I mean, there's worse faces around than yours. Look at mine. Yeah. What was I saying? I lost a track of thought. Thanks, Anthony. See what you've done? Yeah, signaling. I want to get next week I'm going to try to work out my signaling system on here. And using JMRI. But I'm having a bit of a problem and a bit of an issue with setting the signals up. And the issue is I put the information in the JMRI, I put it down on the signal mask. What did I do? Look on this. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I must miss something there. Okay. Sorry for what you lost was there, Anthony. Yeah. So what's happening is with my with doing the information on JMRI, I put the signal mast in and asked for the address of the signal mast, which is what decoder underneath, is how I understand. So I put that information in. Say my signal 1, the address is 101. Go put it in a place and try to get it to work. I've got a signal somewhere else down the layout where it's coming on. It's not the actual one. So I've got to try to figure out, okay, oh no, here he is. So now I've got to figure out how I'm going to solve that problem. Hey, Grandpa Dodge, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Joyce wants to know what you did to your hand to get surgery.
What I had a lady try to beat this truck, make it a right-hand turn. She pulled out in front of me and she ended up between the front steering wheel and the chassis and knocked the front steer out of alignment, but it spun the steering wheel and whatnot. I'm just holding on the dear life and the horn on it. I was doing 55 mile an hour when we had an accident.
Okay.
It fractured my fingers, this hand as well, and torn the muscle up here on the shoulder. So yeah, and my neck's still not the best. It was a hard thud. It's like hitting a brick wall, basically. Oh no, triple trouble. It was a hard thud. We'll just shut it down for a second. Yeah. So it happened. James, turn your YouTube sound off. Yeah. So it happened. There we go. It was. The accident could have been worse than what it actually was, but I've actually saved I stopped the accident from being a complete mess, basically. I've saved 2 pedestrians, didn't end up in someone's backyard. So the price it was, I got injured.
Can you hear me okay, Artie?
It's too early to tell yet. We'll find out a bit more by the end of the week. The swelling's still coming down. I'm moving the fingers a bit, which is a good sign, but I'm getting still on the tips on here. I'm still getting a bit of numbness and tingling feeling on the top here. So I just hope there's no permanent damage because the insurance companies are going to be paying for them screwing around. I should have had it done last year. But the tingling started getting, this one here got to the point where it was getting numb and I was getting pins and needles on this finger here. So that means it was getting really, really bad.
Okay.
And because it goes through a government insurance body, and the government insurance body says no, it wasn't accident related, and they didn't even look at the video footage or anything like that, what was going on. So thanks to them, they caused me more grief than what it needed to be. I could have been back to work by now, really.
Okay.
And where I'm concerned, not so much for me modelling, I like playing the piano accordion. The old squeeze box. And not having the proper feeling, getting me using my fingers properly, it's gonna knock me about.
Okay.
I haven't been able to touch an instrument now since May last year. Because my fingers haven't been working properly. So you got the turbo train there, James.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm running what was considered Canada's high-speed train from the 70s.
Yeah.
This is called the Via Turbo. It's going to come around now.
Is that the new model? or the old model? Nice.
Big and yellow.
Yeah. When I first saw it going, I thought it was the one of the Dutch trains. Hey, Sparky, how are you?
Hi, Sparky.
Is that the new model, James? James? No. Can't hear me. Because I know Rapido was making some new ones. Where I just haven't got room anymore to put. I've got to admit, it does look nice. It does.
Well, that's now a problem I've run into with the ICE4 and anything coming for Christmas is I no longer have places to put trains. I'm going to have to build another storage shelf.
I'm just running out of storage shelves and storage spaces to put it. I don't. It's only a small little 2-bedroom house. I mean, I've got the wardrobe here next to me, all full at the moment, and when I had the big boy arrive this time last year, the Galway one, it was like, I've got nowhere to put it here. I mean, it's in the. Lucky I live on my own. It's in my bedroom, in the top shelf. It's the only place I will keep it. And I've got one of those things where I don't like to throw the boxes away from the carriages. I found it somewhere else to hide it in the main closet as you come in the main door. I've got that up the top, right up the top shelf. Somewhere you're not going to go in. Somewhere you need to get a ladder to go up. So I've stored all the boxes there. So I'm already running out of space.
There he is.
There's James again. James, are you hearing us?
Yeah, I hear you okay.
Yeah, because I already wanted to know if your train there was a new model or an older one.
Hang on.
Is that a new Rapido one, James?
He's got a long delay.
Must have. Yeah. Yeah, must have.
Well, I heard myself asking the question. Whoops.
Oh, okay. Might have problems over there. Okay.
But, I've got room on I'm not in my basement. And, I've got a little shelf on the wall where I have a little staggered set of steps that I have 6 trains on. I have my freight trains parked there, my Beatles Eurostar parked there. And then, let's see, the 2 steamers, the freight train, and then whatever other trains I just want to get out of the way go up there. But now with my IC4, everything's packed. I have no additional room to park things. And I really would like to have another parking area with my layout where I can move some trains, because I got some areas I've got to clean, but I've constantly got trains parked there. I've got to clean the parking area. Those tracks have not been cleaned in a long time, and they need it.
Yeah. I done a big cleanup on the engines that I had on this section here. I took a lot of them off, but the ones I did have there, I was using them pretty much just to check the radiuses and whatnot around the curves and that when I was doing an addition behind me. And now that I'm not going to be doing any really main construction for a while, I just packed the big ones away. and got the small ones in because the yard behind me is not really that big. And using the big diesels and whatnot, he just used up too much space behind him. So I just got the old little ones out and give them a bit of a run. And once I end up finishing, yeah, Gary should join the Helix Club.
Yeah, that was with the original plan. We considered having a short Helix, just a very short Helix, but it didn't work with the rest of the design of the layout, how I wanted the layout to go, because you can only run 1 or 2 lanes off and into that. Because originally my layout was supposed to be 2 levels. That big C was supposed to have another level underneath it, which was going to be parking. And then there were going to be little ramps or a short helix or 2 on each end coming up and then feeding in. But it didn't, 2 things put the kibosh on that. One was we needed the space underneath my table for storage.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of boxes and, those plastic box kits for storage, because when I built my giant table, we took out a couple of closets. And then when I moved my daughter into my workroom to take over the basement, there was also a lot of stuff that was stored in there. And to make room for that, it had to come out. So it's all under the table now. And so the Helix became not going to happen.
Can you hear me okay now, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. I lost the camera. I was trying to show off the turbo train, but my camera connection, and I was getting conflict between the tablet and my computer.
Yeah, we saw the train all right. I was trying to ask you whether that was the new Rapido one or the older Rapido model.
It's the older version. It belongs to a friend of mine. He's been a modeler for about 55 years. He dropped it, and there's a problem with the lead locomotive. It has trouble going up the incline in what I call reversed. So I wouldn't buy it. It's too complicated of a locomotive to assemble, because it only has 1 set of wheels per car. So unless it's assembled as an assembly, you can't run the train.
Yeah, it's set up as a set. It's like the TGV setup.
Yeah, it is Canada's version of a high-speed train, but it didn't pan out.
But mind you, they reckon that setup is for derailment. When it comes to derailment, they're actually a lot safer than the ones with the normal wheel sets underneath, because the articulation will keep them upright.
It doesn't meet the quality of Anthony Dodge's high-speed trains. But we had it running this afternoon at maximum speed that I can push at 28 speed steps, spinning around the layout this afternoon. And it's not 100% though. It's as long as you run in one direction, we had no problem. The other direction, it needed power to get up the incline the other way, because there's a problem with the gearbox somewhere in that one locomotive. But apparently you can't buy parts for it no more.
Oh, you can't?
No. So I'm not sure
Thomas,
if it can be fixed. So, but we're trying to help a friend of ours out. We're going to set it up on some boards so he can load it onto his layout, because it's not an easy. Yeah, it's a nice train though.
Yeah, Sparky. We checked it out while you were talking to me about it, right after you posted the link in that chat. Joyce and I were looking at, because it's up in Niagara Falls, and we've been talking about going up to Niagara Falls anytime, whether it's before Christmas or sometime in the spring before we go to the UK. It looks very cool, and because it's in Niagara Falls, and Joyce and I love going to Niagara Falls.
Is Niagara Falls Canada, Anthony?
Yeah, the Canadian side's the best side. As proud as American as I am, the Canadian side's the best side of Niagara Falls.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Is that where you're going to jump in a barrel? Is it, Anthony?
No. I've given that up. I've done it a couple of times, and it just loses its thrill after that.
Yeah,
Niagara Falls. Slowly I turn, step by step.
I'm in Niagara Falls and probably
it's like us
10
seeing
years.
it's like us seeing our Harbour Bridge and Opera House. Once you've seen it a couple of times, it's like yeah. But
yes, Sparky is an hour from him. So if he's an hour, then I'm 20 minutes because I'm closer.
It takes Joyce and me, 6.5 hours?
Where are you driving from? Where are you driving from?
Well, depends on how many bathroom breaks Joyce needs.
So where are your starting point?
We start in Toledo. We go up to Detroit and come across the Ambassador Bridge. We've actually been told it's faster to go up to Sarnia and come down that way.
Okay.
But it's actually shorter. It's shorter to go up to Detroit and cross the bridge there, but they say it's actually faster if we were to go up to Sarnia and cross over. So one of these days
Detroit,
we'll try that.
The Windsor Bridge, yes.
Yeah, we go through Windsor because that's how we fly to Europe. We go to Windsor. We save so much money. It's anywhere from $500 to $1,000 cheaper for us to fly out of Windsor, Canada, than it is out of Detroit.
Now the other way around, Canadians usually from our area they'll head to Buffalo and fly out of Buffalo because it's cheaper to fly to Florida or points south from Buffalo than it is to fly from Canada.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. But
yeah,
Sparky's about 33 kilometers from my place.
Okay.
So about a 30-minute drive. So hour for me.
That's about nearly as far as it is between me and Creepy, Derek.
Yeah, we take what is it? What is it? The 401 or the 403? Which one?
401.
Yeah. So we go through Brantford and Windsor, Brantford. I always forget what we decide is the halfway point. We used to get off at Duff's Corner and then take 20 in, but now we just go all the way through Hamilton and come down. I don't enjoy, what is that big bridge up there north of Niagara Falls? The Queen Vic, no, it's not the.
I don't know. It's a big bridge.
Yeah, about 30 miles north of Niagara Falls, there's a bridge there. I don't like bridges.
Yeah, we've never gone across the Sarnia.
Hey, you're in Kitchener. I had a girl that was from Kitchener years ago. This is going back 45 years. I used to vacation in northern Michigan, and her family and our family used to be at this camp at the same time. And right about the time puberty was hitting, I had a huge crush on her and always wanted to go up to Kitchener to see her.
And
never happened.
You got lost on the way out, didn't you?
No, just never talked my parents into driving me to Canada to see a girl. You know, that was before internet. And
now you starting to sound like
we had to send smoke signals back in those days, Artie. What's that?
Yeah, I know the days you're talking. You're starting to sound like my brother. Like we had this girl up in Canberra. We went down to Melbourne. He wanted to go to Canberra. Then I thought he wanted to go sightseeing. Well, Mum and Dad wanted to go sightseeing.
Is it the Skyway Bridge then? Because there's the one in Toronto or actually in Hamilton, but then 30 miles north of Niagara Falls. And yeah, is that the Skyway? It's been what? How many years since we've been to Niagara Falls? 6? We keep talking about we need to go back because we used to take the Germans up there too. Joyce and I did our was it 5th wedding anniversary or 10th? We went up to Niagara Falls for our 10th and just fell in love with the place. And then we took the kids there when they were little, and then we went back and then we took the Germans there every year because it was a 6-7 hour drive, and let them see Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Oh, James has got to go. Did we chase James off? I hope I didn't.
Oh, James.
Sorry.
Oh, all right. Oh, James.
St. Catharines. Yeah, the one at St. Catharines.
Yeah. Now, I was wondering, there was something that happened down in Tampa. Tell me what it was. It was on the news break on the other computer. Something funny was going on down in Tampa. Can't remember what it was now.
Oh, it's Florida. That's
Yeah, well, Nissy must have had something to do with it. Can't remember what it is now.
yeah. I actually have a fear of heights that can turn into vertigo. I have a really bad fear of heights. I don't know why I got it, but I've had it since childhood. And of course, a fear of heights is actually a fear of falling. But it's gotten worse in my old age. I used to drive across the Mackinac Bridge. Now Joyce has to drive over if we go over it because I can't. I have panic attacks.
Yeah. Hey, Steve.
But I can usually do the St. Catharines Bridge. I can usually do that. Well, I've never not done it, but I've had times where I've white knuckled it.
There was this one bridge. I thought it was wicked. When I was down in Florida, going from Tampa to Sarasota. I can't think of the name of the bridge now, but it goes for miles over. Basically, it goes over the bay. It goes up pretty high. What's the name of that bridge, Nissa, that goes south towards Bradenton and Sarasota? I can't believe how long it is and how high it was too. I mean, you want to see anything like that here? We'd usually go around and just do short bridges, you know.
Get a word in, and so he just said, "Never mind."
Skyway Bridge, that's it. Yeah,
they're all Skyway bridges. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just wicked. There's apparently there are people that got the fear of heights where they actually got drivers on each end of the bridge to drive the Oh, there she is, the boss of the house. Hi, Joyce.
Hi.
Yeah, they got drivers on each side of that bridge to those people that got fear of heights and whatnot can actually get them to cross the bridge. Yeah. Hey, you hated it. I loved it actually.
There's some beautiful sights up there or from these bridges, but it's white knuckles terrifying to me, so I can't even look. I mean, when Joyce and I are hiking in the Alps, there are some of these bridges where you're walking between crevices in a mountain, and Joyce is like, "Oh, look, this is such a beautiful view here," and I'm like, "Shut up, just get me across the other side."
My biggest fear is actually deep water. Deep water is my fear. If I can't touch the bottom of with my feet on something hard underneath in the water, that's that was what you call it. That's my biggest fear because I haven't got that security. You know, it's too far down. Flying and whatnot, that's not a problem. But
I'm okay in deep water. You know, like we have Lake Erie, which actually gets extremely deep, and the Great Lakes all around us get very, very deep. And I can swim in the middle of them without a problem. Unless when the weather starts turning and the water gets then it gets a little scary. But I've been on friends' boats and we go swimming in the deep parts I've been swimming in Lake Superior, and it's cold, but it's great. So heights is my bugaboo. I don't know. Do I have other active fears besides heights? I think heights is the only one. I don't have a fear of spiders. I just don't have tolerance for them.
See, I got my spiders more trained. You see, I got my spiders trained. I've got a couple of windows where I don't have the screen mesh on them. So I told him, look, you can just stay here and just create a nice little nest up in there, a nice little mesh. I have no insects, no issues with flies and
Well,
mosquitoes. Get bugs out.
spiders have a great purpose, and I have tried to reason with the spiders in my house, which is you stay away from my sitting area and my trains, and the rest of the house is yours, and eat all the bugs you want. But some of these young spiders get a little uppity and start thinking, I don't need to follow rules. And they start coming on, and I'll be sitting here, and all of a sudden somebody will drop from the ceiling, and it's you. Yeah, you got to kill them. You got to teach them a lesson and keep the others in line.
It's a good time of year now. Here we've got all the little baby ones coming out now, so they need some training. But they're so small, little tiny ones.
We only have, for example, now I occasionally, like anybody, I worry about when I'm working in my garage or I have to go up at top of my garage. We have brown recluse spiders, which are poisonous and can give really nasty bites. I mean, they're not the most poisonous. We really don't have any sightings or reported cases of black widows, although black widows are the supposed region of black widows is near us. But we don't have reported cases. But we get a few reported cases of people being bitten by brown recluse. And I've got an old garage, and I go up there. I've got wood stored in there and piping and whatever else, and just throw whatever garbage up there I don't want to throw away yet. And if I have to go through that stuff, I do worry about I'm going to stick my hand somewhere and get bit. But
you see, with what I've got around here, I don't have any that real deadly one, the funnel web. I don't have any of them around here.
Yeah,
that I've seen.
Yeah, Thomas, I drove the Mackinac Bridge a few times, and now I can't handle it. And it's been about 10 years since we've been up that part of Michigan. But now, whenever we've had to cross it the last couple of times, Joyce drives it because I can't. Even Joyce won't drive it if it's windy.
All right. Yeah. So you wouldn't be any good walking across the Sydney Harbour Bridge then? Yeah, because you get good views up the Sydney Harbour Bridge. But it's pretty solid. The one that Paul Hagen used to paint before it was a movie star. Yeah, but with us here, like, I do have the daddy long legs, and they're pretty common right around the world. And the two that I normally keep an eye at, because we do have little black ones, is the white tip ones. They came from over there somewhere, I think they were. And when they bite you, they basically want the flesh, right? I'll keep an eye out for those ones. Not very common here. They're more common down where Greg Midsummer is down in Melbourne. They're more common down there. The cousin to the black widow, redback, yes, we do have them here, but they're normally outside. But I tend to try to keep the place clean, and the areas where they will turn up, I end up spraying them down. Tend to spray that area down. There's a couple of breeds of spiders. If you have them around the house, the redback won't hang around. One, they're bigger, and their webs are a bit. Look, they're little insects. I mean, they got a good purpose, and I'm not going to chase them away. You know, people say, "Oh, spiders are deadly," and you can have deadly ones, but if you don't have deadly ones in the house, they're good to have around and get rid of all the insects.
Oh, well, yeah, they all have their purpose somewhere along the line. There are certain bugs I find useless. Now we get we live in a housing development or whatever you want to call it. Lots of kids, and we get wasp and hornets, and those we don't give a chance.
No.
I'll get a hornet's or a wasp nest at least once a year that I have to get rid of.
Yeah,
and then an annoying one is Carpenter bees. They're not really bad. They're just I I've got a lot of woodwork in my tiny little yard, and Carpenter Bees love to drill big holes and just eat through the wood. And so that's also somebody I won't tolerate.
We don't have here. We don't have a Carpenter Bees. We do have them down in South Carolina. I was just amazed how they just bore into the timber.
What impresses me is that Carpenter Bees will drill holes more perfect than if you had a drill with a bit on it. Their holes are so perfectly round. It's like, if you could just train them, like, okay, guys, I need a 3/8 hole here. Come on, one of you, the skinnier one, 3/8, get over here and drill that for me.
Right, yeah. But I want it now. I don't want it next week. I want it now.
Right.
But yeah, they are evil. I remember when we were initially wasps and hornets and evil, and they attack. Well, actually, we don't have hornets here. We do have wasps. And take care, Joe. Look after yourself. When I used to cut the pulp to the where they manufacture the toilet paper, but we cut the big rolls that's already got the perfume and whatnot, and we take it to the factory where they actually use the big roll and turn it into what we have at home.
Right.
And before we had these curtain side trailers, we used to have to get up and tarp our loads down. But when we take them off, these wasps used to hang around. The perfume and the pulp attracted wasps. And if you start hitting them, next minute you've got 3, 4, 5, you've got dozens of them coming around and attacking you.
Yeah, you injure one and the brothers come up or sisters come up to get revenge. Yeah. That's why we had to teach our kids, don't bash them, don't squish them, because they release a chemical, a pheromone that attracts others. And so, when we were a kid,
an interesting one.
Well, like Joyce's dad would sit in his yard with a tennis racket and just.
But if you got a fear of spiders.
Oh, I picked that up from your dad.
But one thing I was amazed what they do though. For people that are scared of spiders, and I think that's why we didn't have so many poisonous ones, deadly ones, big ones here. They actually attack spiders. And they usually go for the big ones before they go for the small ones. They usually go for the big ones. And they just tear the rings off it. I was just quite amazed with it.
Well, that's the problem we're having in this part of the country is the wasps are killing the bees.
Yeah.
We got bee killing wasps. They chase out the bees, the honey bees that you need, and the wasps don't pollinate.
That's right. They don't.
But we learn all this because Joyce is she's slowly becoming a green thumb. She grows all kinds of plants in our little yard. We have a small vegetable garden and all that. So she knows all the insects and which ones are good, which ones are bad. And of course, we planted some plants the last couple of years, and all of a sudden we got hummingbirds around. So get excited because we have hummingbirds. Because never saw hummingbirds before, and all of a sudden we're seeing them in our yard all the time.
Yeah. My stepsister down in South Carolina, they used to hang out the feeding containers for them with their little sap inside it and a little juice inside it. And that's quite amazing. One of them actually got it to a point where it was coming to the finger. They get so used to you. So, but I love nature. And look around here, I mean, I feel comfortable going around bushwalking here. And knowing that I can.
Yeah, I mean, I love nature too. I love going out for walks, but like here in the summer, once the humidity kicks up, the gnats and the mosquitoes just get so ridiculous. That's why Germany is so different. You just don't have the mosquitoes and the gnats in Germany like we do here in the United States. It gets humid here, and we're in the north. The south is worse.
Oh, yeah.
But the bugs in the north are bad. But once you go down south, it's just permanent. It's a permanent.
Especially in this is
But
place.
yeah, you get into July, August, September, and you want to go for walks, or Joyce and I, even in our neighborhoods, go for a walk wherever there's a tree area. The gnats just swarm, and the mosquitoes start coming at you.
Yeah. Well, one thing I like about because I usually go up and chase the rail line that goes up the mountain between my place and Gary's um and up through there. But the good thing about here is you can go out near the railway line and the bushes and that, and we haven't got a fear of bears and lions and whatnot coming out and coming to have you for lunch, like you do over there. You know, and snakes, they don't worry me. I mean, they hear you coming, they go the other way.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, I'm actually looking forward. You still, Sparky's obviously got his hotel booked in Strasbourg. Yeah, so
Good night, Sparky. Yeah, Joyce and I are debating whether we're going to try to make Strasbourg just
good
for
night,
the heck of it,
Sparky.
because
Yeah.
it's just over a week before we leave for the UK, but you know, a getaway weekend there might not be bad, and just to try to meet some people live and in person for a change.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I got to wait for my new passport to come through. That's why I've got a bit of a shortness, so I can get my mug shot taken for the 10-year passport. So, yeah, just looks cleaner in it. You know, they don't think that you are a terrorist when they open up your passport. Oh yeah, that's just.
Did you
Yeah,
you got your new passport, didn't you? Or are you doing that this year? We both got new passports. Okay. You're still waiting to get your new license. You got to get the new license, right?
Oh, the driver's license.
Yeah. We now have in the United States, all the states have to do it, but we have upgraded driver's license that you can use to cross into Canada instead of right now to go to Canada. We have to show our passport. You didn't used to, then you did. And now you can get a special thing put on your driver's license that acts like the passport, so you don't have to show the passport to go over. And and you need it to fly domestically now. So
What do they call it?
enhanced license, they call it here.
Yeah. Just bear with me for a second. I'll just back in a sec. Just hang on. I'm hearing noise.
Right, Missy. And all right, good night, Steve. Chased everybody out. I'm here alone. Already left me with a small crowd. No, the nice thing about living in Toledo here is we don't have anything really hazardous nature-wise. The bugs can be bad in the heat and the humidity, but no snakes. Yeah. We've got snakes, but none poisonous. Rattlers were eradicated in this region. I think the last reported rattlesnake in Toledo was about 75 years ago, maybe 60 years ago. So we don't have anything. I mean, Toledo's a relatively safe area. We don't have earthquakes. And even when there are tornadoes, they tend to go just north of us or just south of us. They don't hit Toledo. Our river doesn't usually flood. It's really a relatively safe place, except at my school.
Well, yeah, I just hearing this strange noise outside. We've got some Little young rat bags running around. Yeah, so yeah, no, yeah, I wouldn't mind going up there and check that out. I mean, there's a lot of parts of the US that I would like to actually have a look at. I was going through some of the photos today. It's like, geez, I haven't been there for. I want to see what's changed, but there's just so much history in there. And there's so many old. There's a lot of old ghost towns, a lot of markers of old towns where they used to be, especially up in the Appalachian Mountains. Like I come across all these signs where the towns used to be, and they're no longer there. And one part of it is actually where the Smoky Mountain Railroad or the Blue Ridge Railroad Company was going to go. And the thing about all the engineering that I would have had to achieve to get the railway line in there would have been just totally amazing. And just sitting there just trying to focus it in.
Well, you got lots of ghost towns over in Australia, you know, some of those old mining colonies and that, and everything just dried up and they got abandoned. Out west, we've run into plenty of ghost towns when we've been out west.
Yeah. We don't have as many as what the US is, but then again, America is a lot older country. It's been colonized a lot longer than what we have been here. But one town I remember going to, and it's not far out of Tucson. It's a shame that it was too far for Sparky to go when he was down there seeing Vinny. A place called Steins. It's New Mexico, just over the border. And that's where I got to learn the term what UP stand for. Not Union Pacific, it stands for Usually Park. It was right at the time when Union Pacific took over or merged with Southern Pacific or taken over Southern Pacific. And it was a big bottleneck. And what would happen is pretty much ever since we pulled out of LA, you just see all these freight trains just all parked up in sidings. And we stopped this old ghost town. It used to be a railroad town when steam engines used to fill up with its water and whatnot. There's only one general store and one house there now. We stopped in there to get a bite to eat and refreshments and whatnot. It actually had my name in that general store because on the ceiling, it has currency from all over the world, whether it be Deutschmark, dinars, dollars, and whatnot, from all over the world. So I thought, I saw a $1 note and $2 note that was Australian, but we no longer have the notes. We have coins now, the $1 and $2 coins. So I donated a couple of them and I got my name put on it. But I remember them telling me that Union Pacific had a train there they forgot about and it ran out of fuel. Parked beside it. No crew in it, no nothing. We were just sitting there idling, ran out of fuel. So that train must have been sitting there for a long time. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's different. It's very different. But you got all these old forts. There's just so much to see over there. I mean, a person can spend another 10 years going right throughout the whole of US and discovering what's around and what's there. As long as these young ones don't destroy the history that was there. You know, some of us would like to know what was going on there, what happened there in that location, you know. You can't delete it.
No, my grandfather was an amateur historian and he specialized in our state, Ohio history.
Yeah.
So I grew up with having history just, it sounds negative if I say it, but crammed through my ears, but I soaked it up. But my grandfather would drive me all over the state of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and say, this happened here, this happened here, this happened here. Here's what happened here. This battle was fought here. This was done here. This city used to be like this. And he was a great storyteller. He just knew how to tell a story. And I sucked it up as a kid because my dad didn't want to talk about anything. You know, I'd try to get, hey, Dad, tell me about what it was like when you were a kid. What was it like when you were in Korea? Dad, what was it like here? Blah, blah, blah. Dad, what? And my dad had, just go away, boy, you're bothering me. But my grandfather just had all the stories. And so, obviously that's where my love of history comes from. I just ran with it in many other places.
But it's always nice to know, some people do, I mean, I do, is like to know the history of existence. Why are we where we are? Why is this town where it is?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Randall.
Like with the main reasoning why my folks came out to Australia here is because of work and the work opportunity and the lifestyle that was from where they were. They would just want to get away from it because there was always so much unrest in that area. But when I look at the history now, it was always, that area was never really stable.
Mm-mm.
There was always some sort of unrest and always some sort of fighting. So my family actually moved away from there to get away from all that. That's why we end up here where we are now. Wollongong with its existence, well, it's almost like another Toledo, but we got mountains and the beach. And it was just sort of like an area where it was like a neutral area where everybody just got along. We know why a lot of people settled here originally. I mean, we didn't have the steelworks here originally. We had mining here. But before the mining, we ended up having all farming, grazing land all down here. We still do. The dairy farms are still here.
Mm-hmm.
Ones that are left. And then you end up seeing the purpose. Why did the railway line come down so far? Why did it go down so far? The main reason that the railway line went south from here is because of the fresh milk that they used to get daily from the farms, the dairy farms in the south, and they sent it up into Sydney or up in Wollongong here because we used to have a milk processing factory here. Where they pasteurise milk and that and boil it and then give it out to the locals.
Mm-hmm.
That was the main reason one of the main reasons they ended up having the railway line here.
Okay.
So, and then of course the coal. They used to get the coal from up the mountain and then taking it down to the harbour for export, or even just before they had the main line between here and Sydney, they used to take the coal by ship up into Sydney. Yeah. If I had the room, I would do some modelling of this area here. I think I will. One project I do want to do is I want to do one of the original KFC stores we had here. What do you call it? The KFC, it was a different design. You had the door at one corner. They couldn't do the normal shop.
Okay.
Half the structure is still standing, but I'm going to recreate that into what I remember when I was a kid. What's this, Randall? Oh, Artie, I tried a GVO's out on my lad today. Wound up having to reprogram the road numbers. Oh, good.
Okay.
That's good to know, Randall. Because you were having problems with those GVO. Was that the MTH GVO Randall? Yeah. Even like the Pizza Hut restaurant. I mean, we had one of the original Pizza Hut restaurants down here too. It's gone, but we do have one structure that's still standing. That is the old Pizza Hut. That was, when did it come in? It was 71, 72. And it's right here when I like the model. We do have one structure that's still similar in its original state, and I'd love to get a drawing off it or measure it up and get it all made up. That will be a very interesting model to have on a layout, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's both the cool thing, but also a difficulty thing is doing it from memory, because obviously it's not how it is now, but you can go there and maybe kind of get ideas of how it looked.
The KFC that we had, the original KFC in my town of Untitled, the problem with it is a Chinese restaurant now. And what they've done was they've expanded. They used the original building as the main shell, and they kept it as a kitchen. And then they end up, what they've done was they expanded up around it, which they made into dining restaurant area. So to get the actual measurement, I don't think you could. I might be able to get the original measurements of what the kitchen was like in the back area. I can still see that, but where the actual doors and that used to be on that KFC building, that's all changed now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, in America, we're 50-50, though. You have old buildings. Sometimes they get reused, like, okay, that used to be a Pizza Hut, then it was something else, then it was something else. But half the time they tear it down and build something else up. And if you wanted to recreate a time or an era, you're relying either somebody has old photographs of, hey, here's what the street looked like in 1972, or you got to go by memory and get it close. I mean, I already have that with just my Delmenhorst. I mean, just in the 18 years since my first visit to Delmenhorst, many buildings have changed. But in Germany, they have historical laws, which, if it's an older building, it can't be torn down. You have to refurbish it on the inside, but you have to leave the exterior as is. But so many little shops and things that, I started custom making, and then you go back and, it's gone. It's a totally new shop now. Even on my train station, there's 3 shops that I built on my train station when I put it up, and they're out of business now. So my layout is no longer 100% accurate because 2 shops or 3 shops that are in there aren't in there anymore. And, so you always have to say, okay, this is kind of how it looked. Like I always say now, my layout is Delmenhorst as it looked in 2017. But I mean, and that's a little issue. Whereas when you're trying to recreate something from 50, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, I'm trying to think what's that page? That guy he's recreating a specific part of his town to the exact year. This is 1956, and I forget what it is. So all the cars and scale buildings and everything have to be before 56. So like, he built this one little scene with a house and that there's a old 38 Ford up on bricks in front of it. And he's like, that's what he remembered. There was an old 38 Ford. And how hard is it to get a 1938 HO scale car? Or you have to find something and customize it completely to put it on that layout. But when you have the passion and the skill, then the rest of it doesn't matter.
Yeah. See, what I'm trying to do is, like, the scene that I really want to do is, as I said, my hometown Untitled Station, because it was a lockup junction, really. But when you used to stand up the platform and looking west towards the mountain, I want to create the scene where, okay, the KFC would be as the boundary line, because you had the gas station, and behind the gas station you have the shop, and to the left of it you had the KFC, you had the bank, and then the other shopping centre. But it basically, it will be like the borderline of the scene when you're looking out. Now,
Okay.
if you look on the eastern side, it used to be pretty much green, and he stayed that way from, by looking at the photos and what I remember as a kid, he pretty much stayed like that between the 1970s and right up to about 84, 85. So that's a big span that I can actually model, where I don't really have to change the structures and the buildings that were there, because they were the same buildings. Yes, the cars would have to change, right? But the buildings, I don't have to. I don't even have to change the names of the buildings, because they were all there. The new KFC wasn't built until 89, 90
Okay.
is when a new KFC was built. I mean, you even got the scene of it's the second oldest, public school in the area. Made up to 68. No, well, if you were Australian, there was a fair few different models of 69. Thomas, model Australian, we had all our cars start to change shape in 69. We got a huge range of vehicles here. Even the trucks were starting to change the pattern. I mean, you had the Fords, we had the Valiants, which is your Chryslers. We had the General Motors Holden. Yeah, we had a big variety of cars there. So that's what you got to do. Get rid of that stuff and put Australian stuff on. You'll be right.
Oh, he just. I think he's saying he just he doesn't put anything on his layout from after that period. He can. I'm sure you can find it, because that's my issue is with my layout to start putting people on it. Even when they make modern era figurines, Noch, Prizer, Fowler, Woodland Scenics, all the companies that make figurines, when they claim, okay, these are modern era, they're not. They look 80s and they look 1980s and 1990s people. And they don't make very current, say clothing of the last 10, 15 years. And while hairstyles can come and go, just jeans, polos, t-shirts, things like that. When you go to Germany, there is a stereotyped uniform that so many people wear, which is a pair of jeans and a checkered short sleeve shirt. And yet you can't find figurines that have that basic uniform. They're either in suit and tie and or they're in very fancy clothing. And you just, even when you try to find like students, because I'm trying to put me, Joyce, and my students, I've got a whole bunch of students that like make me, and I've been custom making them out of, I take HO figures, and it's hard to do for me nowadays, but I carve them, whittle them down a bit, try to change the look, and then I paint them and say, okay, there's Joshua. Okay, here's this kid. Okay, here's me. I'm trying to make, and I've made some friends. Like on my ICE3, there is a character reading a newspaper that is named Uli. And one of these days, if I ever thought about it, I'd stick a camera in real close. But that's because that figure came out of the box and looked a little like my friend Uli. And then I custom painted him and designed him. And he looks like the teacher that I started this exchange program with. His name was Uli Rooker. And he died of cancer in 2013.
Right.
After we left after we had left. Now he had retired from teaching, then retired from the exchange program in 2010, 2009, maybe 2000. It's been a few years. But he sits on a train reading a newspaper, because that was Uli, sitting on a train reading a newspaper, and then his wife Angelica. And then I've been making my friend Heinz, who was the head of the Sister Cities group in his city. So he was one of the people that invited us over. He died of cancer a couple of years ago, brain cancer a couple of years ago. And I was making his figure before he died, but I didn't finish it until after he died. And so I'm making all these people I know from Delmenhorst, and I'm trying to pop them around. I still want to build his house, but I'm not finding models because I have to find a model. It's hard to custom build for me nowadays.
Yeah, you're just gonna get a good 3D scanner and print out your 3D printer there.
Yeah, and it's really tough because I can't, if I wanted to custom build something in the United States, for example, I could easily go to Google Maps, go to Street View, pop it in. I can use the ruler and get measurements, close enough measurements, do a 195 estimate, because most things are actually built 195 to 1/100 scale for HO, and get those dimensions. In Germany, you can't do it. Only completely public open areas are eligible to be on Street View. So, because Germany has very strict individual privacy laws. So even on public places, you have to get it on the 3D, you have to have a certain distance away, no people in the view. If somebody walks in front of it, you have to remove it and redo it because of their individual privacy laws. So you don't have neighborhood houses and pictures. And, the thing is, Joyce and I never thought to take pictures of their house. So I can in my head roughly picture it. But then to get the surrounding neighborhood to kind of fit it in, because I have a place where it would go. Because I also I did build my friend Piotr. I built his hot dog stand. I should get that out, but that was a custom build. It was the first custom build I had done in a while, and I did that right when I started my layout. I did a few things custom, and then I worked my way up to building the custom building, scratch building that Delmenhorst station. But my friend Piotr's hot dog stand, that's really good, because I nailed it. I'm very proud of that, because it was a tiny little thing, and I nailed it. I sent him a copy of it, and he was thrilled.
Yeah. I got one of the figures. One of my favorite figures is still in the box, packed away. I don't know if you've seen the Woodland Scenics Beekeeper set. We've got the little beehives, and you've got the figurines in there. There's an old chap in there. The stance and the colours that you had, and he's got the old European style cap on him. When I saw that and put it on the layout, that guy looked so much of a splitting image of my grandfather, the way he was, and he had bees too. So I've had to get that and get some hives made up, because somewhere around the track I would like to recreate the old farmhouse to what we had over there. That we still have it, but I don't know how much it's still standing. But when Granddad moved closer into town, the house was left there and it was slowly falling to pieces. It was a huge house, and he'd store his honey and that over there, because it was just too much for him to take home. And it was, it's hard to find. If you want to go to specific areas, like even the modern area, it's very hard to find specific figures. But then again, you've got to stand out and have a look. There's so much variety these days. And in Europe, depends on what part of Europe you're in too, and what style of clothes they're modelling, and what kind of outfits you're going to put on. So on the eastern side, like within my region where my folks come from. More on the outset, they really haven't really changed so much of their style of fashion. They're still wearing pretty much what they did 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, you might get a few jeans and whatnot, but the style of clothing they have really changed, and their hairstyles and that hasn't really changed. The only thing I have noticed is the passengers themselves. Where you look at, say, the 70s, up to the mid 70s, people used to always dress up when they used to go traveling on the train.
When you flew on planes, yeah.
Even on planes, even right up to what? Early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, people were all dressed up in a certain time, like they were some sort of dignitary. What is a big thing back then that, hey, I'm going on a plane, I'm going to be all dressed up, I'm going to look like a rich person, basically. You probably weren't, but that was the excuse for getting already dressed up. But after, I suppose, 82, 83, from then on, people became more and more casual with their travelling, especially on the trains and the buses and even on aircraft themselves. People just started being more casual about it.
Comfortable.
Yeah. Well, you can. Yeah, well, I'm not reading any specific era. I mean, I tried to, but it was like of the writing stock that I'm getting. But
yeah, well, I was 40 the first time I got on a plane.
You were how young?
I was 40 the first time I got on a plane, so I didn't fly as a kid. We drove in my dad's station where we went. So yeah, I was a bigger guy then, and yeah, flying economy class when you're 6'3", 260 pounds, there's no room.
Yeah, when I was what 10 years old when I first went on, and we went back to Mum's hometown or Mum and Dad's home country, which was then Yugoslavia, and man, I fell in love with flying ever since that time. But I remember Mum dressing me up in a suit and tie, basically, more or less, you know, with all shirt and everything else, all dressed up and whatnot, and jumped on the jumbo jet. We had to go through. We were doing multiple stops then. Went Melbourne. Then we got off at Singapore, and I tell you what, I didn't like that tie, that collar tie, done up tie up the top, did I? Singapore when they humidity hit you in the face. And then got over to Rome, spent the whole day there, stuck in the terminal only because the flight was delayed. And then gone into Belgrade. And Belgrade, that was a bit muggy and hot over there. And
okay,
yeah, that came off. The tie came off, didn't like it. But we were dressed up. Nowadays, you get on a plane, you like put on some track pants on and put a t-shirt on and
baggy and comfortable. Yeah. My teenagers, all the students I've taken over, yeah, they dress as baggy and comfortable as they can, and something they can quickly pull on if they get too cold and take off if they get too warm. But just loose clothes, pajama pants.
Why not? I mean,
yeah.
Like, it's funny, like you can tell the ones that have gone on the Pacific flight between Sydney and United States and the United States and Sydney, and they always dress up like they're ready to go to bed because it's a 13, 14-hour flight, depending on what you go with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you want to be comfortable for that period of time. There's no way you'll dress up in a suit now and get all dressed up and tidied up on the flight. But yeah, I was just looking at some figures for my layout to put on. It was like it's going to be, I'm not really specific era type, but it's going to be hard to find semi-modern or modern sort of figures, you know, from about 60s onwards. And they've got to be very selective that they don't clash with one another.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah. No,
Especially when you've got,
no, go ahead.
yeah, because when you look at knock scenes, I mean, they've got some good figures, but you've got to be careful you don't use a party theme with the general public theme, you know.
Right.
But I like to do the big Swiss German music festival theme on my layout somewhere, whether it be here or over there. But I'm going to start doing the old music grandstand. I remember performing it. I love to do that. There was so much timber work involved in it, and it would take me a month of Sundays to do it. It better be worth it. It's going to need a lot of figures.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, see, I totally went left field with some of the talk here. You're talking about wearing the tie, and we're talking about how clothing changes over the years, and it's not train related, but I still wear a dress shirt and tie to work, and I am the last of the male teachers that wears a tie.
Yeah.
When I started teaching, all but the shop teachers wore ties, all but the woodworking teachers, and because the tie was dangerous.
Yeah.
And even then, many of them wore bow ties, but or they would wear a tie and then a sweater vest over it to keep the tie from getting into the machinery. But yeah, and now I am the last. I walk in every day, and there are younger teachers that are like, why do you wear a tie? And I was like, because that's what we were expected to wear when I started, and I just never changed.
And that's basically you're following the tradition and the way things were from that. I mean, that's the way you guys presentation, basically a presentation. That's what we were taught. When you're going out, there was some form, some way of presenting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the teacher, that's a way presenting you as a profession.
Right. Yeah, we were professionals and we dressed that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, this is what it comes down to. Yeah, might sidetrack, but I mean, this is some things when you look at doing the figures on a layout. How do and how did people dress at that particular time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there are some people that like Ron, it's not really set in a specific era, but then you get some people that are. Yeah, so I ain't gonna call it quits. Christ, nearly 2 hours we've been talking. Nearly getting as good as you, Anthony.
Almost. Or then again, it's my fault. I can keep talking forever.
So can I just want to try to get something done. I just want to see. I'm trying to get this. What you call it, OBS going where I can get this music and whatnot with my introduction. Just before you come on, I want to get the slideshow or the video coming on with the music in the background. But I still haven't seemed to get that done right. I need to play around with it. I wish Heath had a simple way of explaining things, but his goes for about 5 hours. It's just lose track. So
yeah, but that's the scary part. Heath is helping all you guys do stuff. And of course, this is what Heath does for a living, the whole setting up stages and lighting and electrical and everything. And yet you watch his live feeds where he's trying to show you how tech can be constantly is having things go wrong. He's having gremlins through the system. And of course, I've been respectfully making fun of him with some of my videos. My whole Dr. Zaius the ape is talking about how it's Heath's fault that the human race got destroyed. But yes, Randall, I have seen a transparent locomotive. They made an ICE3 transparent, which was very expensive when it came out.
No, I'm not getting one. I haven't got the budget. Jerry cost me enough money this week.
So the funny thing is, we posted my video there where I brought back my Model Train Outsider show as opposed to the live stream. Did the show where I'll talk about what I'm doing on the layout or whatever. And but it always had from its inception 3 years ago, there was always the ghost of 2015 and me going at it. And but we had Dr. Zaius came in, and we were talking about all the horrible experiments Heath is doing. And the next night he did his live feed where he was just having all kinds of bizarre issues with his tech. This person could hear him, but this person couldn't. And these people could only hear Rick. And he kept trying to fix it and things were going. And Joyce and I were just sitting in bed in hysterics watching this on the TV because it just fit in perfectly with what I'm joking about.
But I'm just wondering, on that last tech stream that your daddy done last Wednesday, I wonder how much of it did Thomas and Rick. I wonder how much of them were playing a game with him.
I wondered that for a while too, but then he seemed to be able to sort it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Thomas usually. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As I was slowly getting to learn how Thomas is working, and I know Rick likes playing pranks. It's like, yeah. We'll just keep it as one of those mystery questions. Oh, hang on, my girlfriend's flying.
Well, Randall, I don't know that one. Then I'll have to go look at it. Thomas, regarding the yelling, that was for the most part, it was situational. It was the ghost is ticked off and I'm mad because he's back and I don't want him back. He's mad because he's been in hell for 18 months. So there was going to be a lot of yelling. It was the episode.
It was well put. It was well put. I mean,
well, no, I've gotten a few people talking about why are they yelling so much? I said, well, you got to go know the whole story between the two characters. You've got to know the story behind them, and then also in that particular episode, what had happened. It's not usually that extreme a yelling. There are times they do yell at each other, but it is representative of my inner conflicts portrayed out for everybody to see. Yeah, well, the problem is the way I had to do the Dr. Zaius bit and work it. It was muted too much. It was re-recorded twice, and that muffled his voice even more. Because we had to record it once and then put it in and then record it while we were recording it. And yeah. But again, I'm not a pro. I don't have the toys Heath does. I'm doing this all with my own little whatever free software and shareware I can use and my own cheap video editing skills. But it's fun, and you can always turn on the subtitles.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to work on that during this week. I mean, I've got to go and get the doctors and physio and all that this coming week. But I'm going to have to start playing around with it, get set up right. I do want a couple more cameras. I saw the camera that Jason had on yesterday, and when I looked at the price tag, it's like, no, forget about that. I'll leave that aside for now. I'm not paying that much money for a camera to have here. I'd rather pay that much for a good SLR camera. So, I do need to get a decent camera, one I can zoom in and out of and take general shots every day. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to get going.
All right.
It sounds like it's going to get very noisy here soon. I won't be able to talk anyway because there's a lot of planes up in the air at the moment. They're going to be going in a holding and whatnot because we've got the air show here this weekend.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And I'm right on the fringe of the airport. We're in the circuit area, so it's going to get very, very noisy and I won't be able to talk. And so thank you very much for coming on, Anthony. It's great having you here on my program.
Well, I enjoy being here. I just figure everybody gets sick of me after a while.
Nah, we can't get sick of you yet. Yeah. Randall, thank you very much for joining. Thomas, Split Rock, thank you. Ron and everyone else that's still here. I will be on again same time next week.
Are you in there?
Bye, Joyce. Take care.
Bye, you too.
I'll be on again same time next week, next Saturday your time.
Boop.
midday my time. I'm going to do it as a regular thing now on Saturdays. So, anyone, thank you for coming to the show. As I said, I really appreciate it. Great bit of company. Until then, everyone take care. Bye.